Hello everybody, this is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm making a layout for a challenge that's called May I Scraplift You? This challenge is going on all month, and a wonderful scrapbooker named Crystal Barrett selected a whole list of scrapbookers from Instagram, and each day we are scraplifting a different scrapbooker. So I am not able to take part in this challenge every day. I really wish that I was, because I love the idea of this challenge. But I did want to make sure that I participated today, because today we are scraplifting Erica Breslin, also known as California Lucky on Instagram. And I have been following her for quite a while. I absolutely love her style. She has a very unique, very fresh, very young style, and I just love it. It's very different from my style, but I am absolutely drawn to it, and I was very excited to scraplift one of her beautiful layouts. So the layout that I'm scraplifting is in the upper left-hand corner, and you could see that there is a beautiful kind of squiggle going around the outside edge. And so I decided that I was going to copy her squiggle, and just to mix it up a little bit, I thought I would do some stitching in order to make this. So I just, as you saw, I used a pencil. I drew the lines going around the outside border of this piece of white cardstock. This is a heavyweight, smooth white cardstock. And I'm using this little poker tool. It's American Crafts set. It has a little pad and a little poker tool, and I use that all the time. And as you could see, voila, it's done. The stitching is complete. I used some black embroidery thread. I used all 6 strands, and I did a back stitch all around the outside. Just as Erica has in her layout, I'm using a piece of black cardstock in the background, and I'm using 5 strips of pattern paper, and the paper that I'm using is from the Paige Evans Horizon collection. And just like Erica did, I'm using papers that are monochromatic and read almost as solids. I'm distressing the edges. I believe that Erica had also distressed the edges of her papers, so I thought I would do the same thing. I'm just using my scissors, and I'm going around the outside of each of these strips and just lightly distressing them. So once I have all of the papers distressed, I put them back in order again, and I'm using the same kind of rainbow-inspired order that Erica used, and now I'm attaching the strips down to this piece of black paper. I just thought it would be easier to attach them down to this piece of paper and then attach them down to the larger black piece of paper. It's just the way my mind works. So I have them all arranged. I use the ATG adhesive to attach them down. I really love the vibrancy of this collection, and I love the way it looks against the black. Now I'm going to bring my photos onto the layout. I have these 2 4x6-inch photos, and I cut them down to a smaller size, and then later on I cut them even smaller. There was nothing that really needed to be on there other than my 2 daughters' faces, so I wasn't worried about some of the extra things that were around the outside of the photo. I did want to use this particular photograph. I fussy cut it out. It just says the name of the restaurant that we were eating in. It was called Mangoes, and has the little logo for the restaurant, so I wanted to include that. So here I mount my photos on some white cardstock, but then when I cut them smaller, I had to remount them on white cardstock. So I use some ATG adhesive to attach the photos down to the mats, and then the mats down to the background. And it's a good thing, because not only do I move these around, but like I said, I'm going to cut them shorter. And the ATG adhesive is generally repositionable, so that really helped out. So now I'm fussy cutting out, like I said, this little logo. And this wasn't really as pretty as the papers and the embellishments that I was going to be using on the page, but I thought that I had to include this. There was no other page that I was going to scraplift this event on, so I thought that I would have to just put content over design and include this logo, and I'm glad that I did. And actually the colors go pretty well with the pattern papers on this layout, so it all worked out. I was initially going to put that logo on the bottom, but I changed that in a little bit. First, I'm going to just distress this black piece of background paper, And you can see that I'm, again, using my scissors to kind of rough up those edges. And these photos are of my two daughters. We went to Mystic, Connecticut. There's a shopping, I want to call it a mall. It was an outdoor shopping center called Old Mystic Village, and they have a lot of really cute stores, and we had a lot of fun shopping there. And then afterwards, we were hungry. I'm usually the one who's hungry first, and so we got some pizza, and we sat outside on the porch, and it was a nice ending to a nice trip. So then I decided that I wanted that piece of black paper to be just a little tiny bit longer, so I cut it in the back and I moved it down probably less than ½ inch just to make it a little bit longer. And now I'm happy with the size of the black paper, and I'm happy with the size of the photos, and I'm ready to attach everything down. And I was going to kind of flip the layout that Erica used, but in the end I ended up just going with the same layout that she had, with the upper photo on the left and the bottom photo on the right. Now that I have all the main elements on the layout, I am ready to add some embellishments. I had some die cuts, I had some puffy stickers, some chipboard stickers, and I got all of these embellishments from Tuesday Morning back in the day when there were quite a few Tuesday Mornings in my area, and I used to shop there regularly. I really miss shopping there. I can't tell you how much I miss having scrapbooking things that are right there for you to pick off the shelves rather than having to order them through the mail. And while I love to shop through the mail as well, there's just something about being able to see the things in person and take them off the shelves. Like I said, I really miss that. In any case, now I am putting some chipboard stickers on the top of the layout. Those are little pieces that make up a little banner, and I thought that those fit in really nicely in that little spot. I have my title, which is Fun Together. I got two different titles from the puffy sticker sheet, and I'm adding some of these little puffy hearts. I also found that little die cut that has the little table with the two chairs on either side. I thought that worked out really well for the subject. And then there was this little frame in with the die cuts, and I thought that would make a nice little addition. I could put the journaling inside the frame on the right and then just use the other part of it as a little embellishment over the top of the photo that's on the left. So now I'm adding some photo corners. I am using an EK Success photo corner punch, and I'm just punching out some photo corners that are the same colors as the strips of paper that are nearest to them. So even though the top of the photo goes over the pink strip, I made the two top photo corners pink, and then I put some green ones near the green strip and a blue one near the blue strip. Erica really matched the colors of her embellishments to the background that's right behind the embellishment. So you could see she has pink embellishments on the pink strip and blue on the blue strip. I tried to do that, but I didn't have enough of all the different colors. So you could see that on the lower right-hand corner, I have that big pink flower, and it would have been more color coordinated to have a blue flower there, but I just didn't have anything that I liked there. So I ended up straying a little bit from that concept, but I think it turned out okay. Now I have all of the photo corners attached down. And even though you could only see a little bit of that photo corner on the upper left-hand corner, I still included one. The next day, when I looked at the layout, I realized there was a very, very thin little bit of green showing underneath that upper photo, and I didn't like that. I decided that I wanted to cover that up, so I moved the photo down just a tiny bit. I also decided I didn't like the very small yellow heart that was underneath the title. I felt it was too small, and I decided to put a purple and blue heart underneath, and I felt like that would kind of complete the rainbow because there's a pink and like a red and a yellow and green, and then that makes a blue and a purple, and then so all the colors are represented by the hearts. I also pulled out some enamel dots, and I'm putting some enamel dots between these little banners, and I don't have all of the right colors and all the right sizes, so some of them are slightly different sizes, but I was okay with that. I pulled out some pink and some yellow and some blue enamel dots. And here you could see that some of the enamel dots are smaller than others, but I just went with it. I felt like the most important thing was to have the correct color, and if the sizes were a little bit different, that would be okay. I also used some enamel dots around the title. I used 3 different colors. I used a larger blue and a smaller blue. I used a pink one, and I also used a yellow dot. And I liked the way those looked, and I thought they added to kind of the festive look of the layout. I was also thinking that it would look nice if I ruffled up the edges of those strips just a little bit more. So with my fingers, I went along the outer edge of the strips and I bent them up a little bit more, and then I also used my scissors and my fingers as well, and I bent up some of the areas between the strips too, just adding a little bit of extra distress. Now I'm going to be adding my journaling. I decided to put the journaling on another piece of paper rather than writing directly on the background. I could have always covered up any mistakes I made with a piece of black paper, but I decided to do it this way. I just wrote a little bit of journaling and I put the date, and then I insert it behind the frame. I already have a lot of journaling. Whenever I go on a vacation, or a trip, anything that I want to put in kind of a travel themed album, I will type up journaling. I keep a little journal of the day or the days that we're away, and then I will type that up and put that on smaller pieces of paper and then put them in smaller page protectors. So I do have a lot of journaling, but I just wanted to write a little something on this page. And now I'm going back in with even more enamel dots. This time I'm using the very smallest size, and I'm just putting down an enamel dot that matches the color of each of those photo corners. So now I decided that I wanted to do the same thing as in the original and have a little something going on along the border. It looks like there's some stitching or punched holes around the border of the black rectangle that's in the original, so I wanted to do something similar. I ultimately decided that I was going to do some stitching, and I'm going to do some stitching again, but this time I'm going to use some white thread. So it really just adds a little texture having the white thread on the white background paper, but I do really like that touch, so I'm glad that I did that. And the stitching is the last detail that I add to this layout. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and thank you so much to Erica Breslin, California Lucky, for all of the inspiration you provided. I really enjoyed scraplifting your beautiful layout, and I just love your style. I hope that everybody will check out in the description box. I have links to all of the other ladies who are following along with this hop this month. It's such a fun challenge. I really love it. I hope that everybody has a fantastic day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.